My name is Al Milgrom, and I'm the director of a documentary called The Dinkytown Uprising, which I don't know how this squares with the event here, but I certainly remember a heck of a lot because I was a junior instructor at the U. I ran the Bell Museum Film Society, and almost all of our films with very heavy attendance dealt with documentaries on Vietnam, including the Jane Fonda documentary, Jean-Luc Godard from France, all of the European directors that were, and I was certainly sympathetic to the local occupation when they announced they were going to occupy 4th Street. These were the campus, I suppose you'd call them idealists, for maybe quote-unquote radicals who had strong opinion about Vietnam, but they seemed to collate the whole thing with the arrival of fast food, the changes of the culture right in the 69, 70, all of the things that happened in that very crucial era. But the campus opinion from the people I knew were heavily anti-Vietnam War because they were about the ones that due to be drafted anyway, and if they could avoid it. At the Bell Museum, as I said, our biggest audiences dealt with anti-Vietnam documentaries. Personally, I was actually into Vietnam. I was in Australia in 1950 when DM was already installed, and even back then, as the Ken Burns documentary very aptly shows, in the runner-up to the war, the politics in Vietnam were very clear to me. And with the Johnson pretense of bombing Matsu and the other island as a way for the American lobby to get into Vietnam, this was pretty apparent right from the start to me and people that I knew. These were 20-year-olds, but they were very hip on the politics. And then that continued. The largest demonstration in wartime local history, from what I could gather, was in 1970 when the students occupied 4th Street in protest against the Red Barn intrusion, which was just a metaphor for them, for corporate America here, as to what corporate America, so these guys said, in Vietnam. And the metaphor seemed to hold. Then 72, of course, at Kaufman Union Esplanade, when Gene McCarthy showed up almost on Environmental Week, that's when the police and the state National Guard dropped the tear gas. And I don't think you would find a lot of sympathy for even the guys who had to go to Vietnam. The Ken Burns film is excellent in bringing that back to us. My big question is, what do the millennials today know about Vietnam, and do they care? And this seems to be, from everything I've read, there's quite a disconnect in their historical memory. For 50 years ago, to them it could be a myth. Maybe, certainly they've got friends, relatives, parents who were involved, but I don't know how much street reaction you can find.